Hi there, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for joining me for Going Deeper. Now, if we're going to go deeper, we got to have an outcome. In this series, our outcome is what I call magnificent marriage. Wouldn't you like to have a magnificent marriage? And some of you probably do. Others, you probably think there is no such thing as a magnificent marriage. And still others are thinking, gosh, I have made the biggest mistake of my life. Well, here's the thing. You could blame the other person, because when you say I've made the biggest mistake in my life, you are blaming the other person. You could do that. Or you could listen to this series and watch this series and ask yourself, is there something here that I could do? For instance, we're talking about communication today. I mean real communication, not yelling what from the other room. That is not communication. But we're talking about truly connecting and communicating. And so if I've been talking a lot, but I haven't been connecting with my communication, and my communication consists of some pretty negative stuff, then maybe it would benefit me to rethink how I communicate. So let's start talking about communication. First thing, if I'm going to communicate in a marriage that's going to be meaningful, I need to be present for the communication. So can I be present with my phone buzzing every 5 seconds? No. Can I be present looking away from the other person? No. I have to have eyeball to eyeball contact. Now, I've said this many times that the eyeballs are the most important sex organs, because if I'm not looking into the eye of the other person every day for some length of time, then I'm not connecting with them. I'm not communicating. True communication means I am present and I'm paying attention to what you're saying and I'm looking at you. I'm present, not looking at other stuff, not thinking about, man, this is long. I'm there. I'm with you. Okay, and so then from attention, I want to be engaged in what's being said. I want to try to feel what's being expressed. Boy, that's pretty tough if all that's ever expressed is some negative criticism and that maybe I don't even agree with it. So one of the things that my good buddy Dave Stoop has challenged couples to do is to eliminate all criticism. Some of you think, man, I wouldn't have anything to do if I didn't criticize, because that's all you do. And it isn't helpful. Criticism causes a person to defend themselves, to back away, to make a case for themselves. It doesn't help. So, you say, well, constructive criticism, how about that? No, that's just criticizing and you're smiling while you do it. So there are ways to talk to people without criticizing. There are things you feel about certain things. There are things you'd like to be different, but it doesn't always have to be some negative, horrible criticism. I want to give you attention. I want to be present with you. I want to engage with you. And when you share something, I want to validate the emotion. I may not even agree that it should be that serious, but if I'm going to communicate with you and you're going to communicate with me, I need to be willing to at least say, wow, that sounds horrible. Or, so you really didn't care much, or whatever it is. But I don't want to interrupt the person. I just want to, at the right time, I want to validate, I've heard you, and I tell you, that is a hard thing. I hear what you're saying. And that's got to be very, very difficult to go through. That's a validation. What I'm really going for is attunement. when we're attuned with each other, we're in tune, you could say, but when we're attuned with each other, it's almost like I know kind of what you're feeling or thinking before you ever say it, because I'm so attuned with you. I know when I've said something that didn't go well because I'm attuned to you. So all of that is important when I'm communicating. I got to be there, got to care, be engaged, and respond. Now, there's just such a difference in that kind of communication and what we often do, which is preoccupation. Now, a guy with ADD like me, it's easy for me to get distracted. It's easy for anybody to get distracted. So you have to practice pulling yourself back in from wherever you went. Practice coming back and honing in on this other person and listening to them, validating them. Second thing, you need to share. Okay? So it's not just listening to the other person, but you need to express yourself in this communication process. And when it's one-sided, when there's only one person communicating and then they say to the other person, I don't want to talk right now, that's not good. But when it works, I'm sharing my feelings with you. And it may not be about the other person that you're talking to. It could be my feelings about something else. With my work, I'm sharing my feelings. Not to manipulate you, not to get you to feel sorry for me, but I'm just honestly telling you how I feel. And, in the COVID nightmare that we've been going through, you may have a hard time even expressing what it is that you're feeling. You just know it isn't good. You don't like it. And so, you're thinking, this doesn't feel good, or I'm irritated, or maybe even I'm angry, or I'm kind of falling into my addiction, or I used to get angry, but now I'm kind of abusive in what I say. So I need to take a look at, am I being accurate? Am I talking about my feelings? Am I being honest? And quite frankly, it'd be great if you could contrast what it was like before this whole COVID virus thing came, and maybe you could compare, and maybe for some there is something there about if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't be having so many difficulties. But also, if it hadn't happened, you might not have been able to uncover the kind of difficulties that you have. And so you'd always have this grade B relationship. But when we start to attune with the other person, then we really have a chance to be intimate in a communicating, sharing, engaged way. Now, my wife and I have found a special place to do this. It's in the large bathtub in our home. That may not work for you. It could be a swing. It could be the sofa, the basement, the attic, wherever. But you need to have a place where you can honestly share your feelings and truly express the doubts, the unsurety, the lack of precision in expressing how you feel, because you may not truly know how you feel. It's just different. Be curious, not furious. A little saying that my wife and I picked up since reading this book, The Anatomy of Peace. Be curious, not furious. So if the person triggers you and you want to get angry, then how about we step back and we ask ourselves, why is it that I got angry? What was it that triggered me? What is it from my childhood that was there that causes this trigger? Then I can actually see that, jump back in and say, hey, you know what? I got triggered there. And had nothing to do with you, but I went back to this place. Now we've got some communication going. We're sharing in some very, very important stuff. Let's talk about touch. In this Mediterranean love plan, we talk about the Italians who touch people so much more than Americans touch each other. I've seen people that learn to, like a woman, would learn to just touch the man on the hand. And in so doing, the man felt kind of like she was open to him, that she wasn't something to be feared. It was like a little channel of opportunity and optimism, because she just simply tapped him on the arm or the hand. And it's saying to him, you don't have to be afraid of me. I'm comfortable with me. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just letting you know I'm here. So a little bit of touch goes a long way. Sometimes we have things that we need that aren't being met, things that we want. Maybe it's a different kind of food. Maybe it's a different kind of bed. Maybe it's hobby time or time away, whatever. Maybe there's too much anger, bitterness, criticism. So I need to be willing to ask for something. Here's how I feel. Here's how this makes me feel. And here's what I would love. And I hope that we can work this out. And then you ask. That's part of communication. Now, my wife and I have a third party to help us in our communication. We've always been in marriage counseling, and it really helps. And we're closer today, of course, than we were 15 years ago. I tell a lot of people to get counseling because I get counseling, and I know the value of it. In this case, now if we're communicating and we hit a roadblock, we just can't figure it out, you've got a third party to step in there and help you do what you can't do on your own. And it just can be invaluable. So worth so much just to share openly and get this third party to hear it and kind of assess it and help the two of you connect over it, especially when you hit a stalemate. Now, the anger thing. It's a big communication killer. People that are angry are not going to communicate on any level whatsoever. They're just not. And so we have to deal with our anger. The Bible says to get rid of all bitterness, resentment, and anger. And so if you've been carrying this around with you for a long time, the hope comes when you decide, I'm going to do something about this anger problem that I have. Big part of resolving the anger part is to be willing to grieve some of the painful things, the losses in my life. I grieve it, and then I forgive the person that helped me, that hurt me. It is so much help for me, not them, me to forgive. It's saying I don't need anything out of them anymore. I don't need them to feel bad about anything anymore. I forgive. I release them from the penalty with me of what happened. Now, that's if this person has character and you believe they're growing and moving on into a different way of being with other people. That's who you want to be forgiving of. You need to forgive everybody, but if somebody's still in the process of abusing you, then we're not going to forgive. We're going to take action to protect ourselves and to do what we can do so that nobody else is victimized by this person. Really important. Now, in the area of communication, you have to plan it. You have to plan the time of day you're going to do this. Plan where. Maybe it's not a bathtub. Maybe it's not the bed. Maybe it's a tree outside. Something. But you have to plan it and keep it right there every day. Same thing, if at all possible, you're both in town. If not, you're on the phone or Zoom or Skype or something trying to connect with each other. Really important that you do that. But never stop trying to improve your ability to communicate, ability to listen, understand, ability to share and be with that other person. I really believe that if you were interested enough to watch this, that you have to be willing to do something in a different way. When we see the AAA of abuse, anger, addiction show up in a relationship, we know it's time for that relationship to be redone. So if you are experiencing anger, addiction, or abuse, AAA in the relationship world. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and let us find a great counselor that can help you for good forever. If you need some help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and I will see you next time for more Going Deeper. See you then.